Hi, welcome to Enter the Bunker, where we launch you into thriving. Each week we talk about a different virtue that can be used as a building brick to build your own personal bunkers. We share personal stories, as well as tips and tricks to help you thrive instead of survive. So sit down, relax, and enter the bunker.
Hello, and welcome to Enter the Bunker. This week's building brick is Fidelity. My name's Kelly.
And I'm Jonathan.
And I don't really know what fidelity means, so we're going to go through the meaning like we always do.
Here we go.
Abiding by an agreement, treating it as a sacred covenant, complete faithfulness in our relationships.
There you have it.
So like being true to other people, kind of.
Instead of being true to yourself?
Yeah.
Maybe it's being true to each other.
Right.
So think about like the kind of relationship you have with your friends, right? That is a kind of something that's sacred,
right?
That's something that you have an understanding with each other.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you just like know in your soul. Like I'm thinking with my friends and stuff, and like no matter what happens, I know that we're always going to be there for each other.
Right.
It's just something that you know.
Right.
You don't have to worry about it.
That's an agreement.
Yeah.
Treating with sacredness.
Right.
That is covenant between each other. So it's essentially, that's what fidelity is. Like what you just described as fidelity.
Okay. All right.
So now you know what it is in your life. Like where.
So it's like an unsaid promise.
It doesn't have to be unsaid.
No.
But it's something.
It could be.
It's something that's sacred. It's something
sacred.
that's really like you hold it like very precious. Like that kind of bond that you have with your friends. You consider that something that's sacred, something that's important to you.
Okay.
And you will go out of your way to make sure that you always abide on your part.
Right.
To keep up your side of the bargain, so to speak.
And I feel like it's not that hard to do, to keep up to your side of the bargain for that. I don't know. For a friendship, there's probably different ways too.
It's different for different people.
Yeah.
Right. For some people, it's like work.
Right.
But I wouldn't call that fidelity either.
No.
Like it's got to be something that's important to you.
Sacred.
Sacred.
Exactly. Okay, so we have some quotes here, 4 quotes. The first one is, many persons have a wrong idea of what constitutes true happiness. It is not attained through self-gratification, but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. Helen Keller. The second quote, the only true test of loyalty is fidelity in the face of ruin and despair. Eric Felton, a writer-musician. Third quote, truth and fidelity are the pillars of the temple of the world. When these are broken, the fabric falls and crushes all to pieces. Owen Feltham, English writer from the 17th century. And finally, fidelity is daring to be true in small things as well as great. Henry Van Dyke, an American author. All right. So those are our 4 quotes. Did you have a favorite?
So I thought the one about truth and fidelity are the pillars of the temple of the world. When these are broken, the fabric falls and crushes all to pieces. So, yeah, I like that. Of course, it's from the 17th century, so it's really dramatic.
Yeah, I think that's why I like it, because it's dramatic and yeah, obviously.
But it's again about those what we hold sacred and about the agreements we make. And when you don't have that, it's true that everything in terms of like what's the way the world works and whatnot. Like think about some of the things where you have expectations, for example, of like how people carry on their business,
right,
or how they should be treating other people, right? We have certain understandings of these things. And when they don't do that, when people start to treat other people badly, when they start to discriminate against somebody else, for example, then that's when things start to break down, right? It's like, wait a minute, like that's not how we should be treating one another. And the fabric of society starts to fall apart. It's almost like what we've seen over the last couple of years, where there's been a divide with different things, whatever you want to call it. You create this division, and what happens then is that there's the sacredness of like who we are, for example, as Canadians,
right,
or the sacredness of like who we are, in our work, or who we are to other people in social media, whatever it might be.
Who we are to our family and friends.
Who we are to our family and friends.
Yeah.
It breaks down. And the next thing you know, like your whole world is turned upside down and everything just stops working. Right. And we've seen a lot of that actually in the last couple of years, where like businesses aren't running correctly. We have countries that aren't running right. We have economy turning flipped upside down, literally just like the way he's talking about. When they're broken, the fabric falls and crushes all to pieces. Like, doesn't that describe what you see happening now?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's because of a lack of fidelity. Like we no longer have that sacred bond, that sacred covenant that's being honored
with our world, with what? With everything.
With everything.
Like mind blowing.
Yeah, with everything.
Yeah, everything. Okay, the opening. Like many of the previous building bricks we have discussed, Fidelity works in tandem with other building bricks to create a foundation on which you can thrive. This is why we call them building bricks. Fidelity boils down to consistency. Consistency in our thoughts, consistency in our actions, consistency in our relationships. It is the basis for reliable thought, reason, morality, trust, and loyalty. Any of these sound familiar? When you live your life with fidelity, not only does it help people know where you stand and what they can expect from you, it also allows you to act in such a way to continue to live your life to advance your goals and your beliefs. If you aren't certain of where you stand, no one else will be. Treat your beliefs, your goals, and your relationships with the utmost respect, truth, and loyalty, and you are on your way to living a life of fidelity. Wow, seems so easy. I feel like the world tests all of that lately, like what you had previously said to what I just read. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it's hard. Now I feel like fidelity is hard. First I was like, it's easy.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. Like the world tests it, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody has a breaking point.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a matter of like what's yours, when you can discover it. And then of course when that comes, you find the strength to rebuild and to become stronger through those types of tests and difficulties.
Right.
So
okay, so it says here, if you aren't certain of where you stand, no one else will. How does like fidelity have to do with that? Like how does that fidelity in that, like what is that? Like how does that come together?
So if you don't know how loyal you'll be with others, how truthful you'll be,
right,
then nobody else will know.
Right.
And so there's no consistency. There's no way to be able to actually know what to expect from other people.
Right. So we'll go back to the friendship there. The consistency with a friendship, like you made that bond, you made that connection. So now where you've gotten older, you can go and spend years apart from each other, but you still know that there's still that, what is it? That promise?
Yeah.
Yeah. That sacred promise.
That sacred covenant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So join us next time and we'll discuss how to practice fidelity. I think we all need a little practice of that nowadays. So we'll see you there.
See you then.
Thank you for listening to Enter the Bunker. Make sure to follow us on Instagram where you can share your story and also look at behind the scenes of how we make our podcast. You can watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube by simply searching Enter the Bunker. Tune in next time as we launch into thriving.